Welcome to Screen Recaps. Today we are going to recapping the first 2 episodes of A Teacher. Claire Wilson prepared for her first day teaching English at Westerbrook High School for the 2013-2014 school year. In the hallway, she asked Catherine, the French teacher, where the faculty lounge was since she was new. Catherine asked where she had transferred from, and Claire said Riverton Middle School. At the morning meeting, Principal Rivas introduced Claire to the staff. Catherine offered to go for drinks to fill Claire in on the school, delighted. Claire stopped at the store after school for a few items. She saw a lipstick display, slipped a tube in her bag, and tried it on in her car. That night, Claire wished her husband Matt didn't have to leave on a work trip, especially with her ovulating. Matt agreed and asked about her day. She confessed taking the lipstick, amusing him. The next day, seniors Eric and Josh admired their attractive new teacher as she read Dylan Thomas. Eric asked Mr. Castillo about a scholarship needing 1,250 SAT score. At soccer, Logan asked Eric about the pretty teacher, Claire. After, Logan teased Josh that his sister Mary had gotten more attractive. Eric got a ride to work from Josh. Matt's flight was canceled, so he texted Claire to celebrate her first day. She went out instead of eating a microwave dinner. Eric's friends Josh and Logan met him after work and shared an illegal substance before asking for milkshakes. Seeing Claire, Logan introduced himself, and they sat with her. Logan and Josh left after a text. Eric said his friends assumed food was free since he worked there. Claire paid for the shakes relating to working as a teen. They discussed college and Eric's low SAT scores. She offered tutoring if allowed. Claire gave Eric a ride, mentioning her brother the cop lived nearby. Surprised she listened to Frank Ocean, Eric found her interesting. In bed, Claire ignored Eric's follow request. She dreamed of an intimate moment with Eric, but Matt woke her. Having caught a late flight, though tired, they made love to not waste ovulation. That weekend, Claire claimed meeting Catherine when she actually tutored Eric. A month later, at a party, Eric reunited with ex Allison until Logan and Mary interrupted. The police busted drinking and drugs. Fleeing, Eric encountered Officer Wilson, who knew a citation could ruin a scholarship. Desperate, Eric asked if he had a sister at the school. Eric begged the officer not to call his mother. Instead, he asked him to phone Claire, since she had been tutoring Eric for several weeks. Soon after, Claire received a call from her brother. He informed her about her student's situation. Claire asked the officer to let Eric's mistake slide, promising to pick him up right away. She explained to her Matt that a student needed help, so she had to leave. Meanwhile, Eric sat on the curb next to Allison. She wondered how he avoided a citation. Then her father arrived to take her home. Later, Officer Nate escorted Eric to Claire's car. She thanked her brother for doing her a favor. After Nate left, Claire admonished Eric for his poor choices. He apologized. She insisted he never mention Nate's kindness or the ride home, since it could cost Nate his job. When Eric called her Ms. Wilson, she said to use her first name outside of school. The next morning, Eric prepared for his tutoring session. His brother Phil said a woman was at the door. To Eric's surprise, it was Claire checking on him since he missed her calls. She proposed skipping SAT prep and going somewhere else instead. So Eric took his brothers Phil and Devin to the neighbors before leaving with Claire. In the car, he jokingly asked if she was kidnapping him. Claire revealed she was taking him to see the University of Texas, her alma mater. On campus, she asked about his goals. He said he dreamed of becoming a doctor to help people. Suddenly, Cody, Logan's UT student brother, invited Eric to a frat party that night. Though hesitant at first, Eric agreed to go after Claire's encouragement. At the party, Claire shared it was her first frat party. Commuting and caring for her father prevented her from attending social events as a student. Eric said he never met his father, who left when his mom got pregnant. Claire told him not to miss out on life. Then Eric gently removed something from her hair, leaving Claire flustered. They shared an intense gaze before she suggested heading home. Once home, Claire deleted Eric's message about having a great time. Meanwhile, Eric awaited her reply, but she still hadn't accepted his Instagram request. Claire came home to see new music equipment Matt had bought without consulting her. He said he used money from bonds his grandfather left him. Upset he didn't discuss it first, Claire argued. The money was for necessities, not hobbies. Hurt, Matt said he loved music and felt unsupported. To end the fight, Claire walked away. Eric excitedly told his mom about his UT tour with Claire. That night, while Matt slept, Claire finally accepted Eric's Instagram request. The next day, Josh was angry. Logan and Eric avoided detention. Eric realized he could now see Claire's profile. His smile prompted Logan to ask what was so delightful, but the bell rang before Eric could respond. In the hall, Eric saw Claire and mustered his courage. Inside an empty classroom, he asked if she got his message. After thanking her for the UT tour, he suddenly kissed her. Claire, caught off guard, pushed him away and told him to leave. Eric quickly apologized and left the room. Stunned, Claire sat at her desk and touched her lips in disbelief. The next morning, Eric awoke from an erotic dream about Claire. At the hospital, a doctor informed Claire her uterus was deteriorating rapidly. Though stressed, she told Matt they could consider in vitro fertilization. However, she would undergo the invasive procedure. Wanting to continue the conversation later, Claire said she had to get to school. After English class, Eric stayed behind to apologize again for his actions the previous day. The teacher stressed that his behavior was unacceptable, warning that if anyone found out what happened, it would ruin her life. He promised never to tell anyone and asked if she would still tutor him. Appalled, Claire refused to continue tutoring him, saying it wasn't her problem that he couldn't find someone else. Desperate, Eric begged her to reconsider, explaining he couldn't afford the SAT prep courses his classmates attended. Sympathetic, Claire reluctantly agreed to continue, but only if he promised never to act that way again. At soccer practice, Logan asked Eric if he was going to homecoming. Eric was unsure since he didn't have a date. His friend encouraged him to go, mentioning he had booked hotel rooms for the after-party. Josh suggested Eric take Allison, since everyone expected them to get back together anyway. Later in the gym, Claire and Catherine decorated for the dance. Claire watched unhappily as Eric asked Allison, who accepted. That night, Matt wanted to continue discussing Claire's doctor visit and hormone therapy recommendation. But Claire, who had just started teaching at Westerbrook, felt it might not be the right time. Matt touched her arm reassuringly, saying he was willing to wait until she was ready to start a family. The next day at Logan's, Eric saw Cody was also there. Cody asked about the woman Eric was with at UT. Logan felt betrayed that Eric never mentioned seeing someone. Eric lied that her name was Stephanie and she went to UT. When Logan asked to meet Eric's new girlfriend, he claimed things were rocky and they'd meet her when the time was right. Eric then ignored multiple messages from Claire asking where he was. Meanwhile, Claire sat alone at the diner, wondering why Eric missed their tutoring session. Before the dance at Logan's house, the seniors pre-partied. Logan's mentions of the hotel rooms upset Josh since his sister Mary was Logan's date. At the dance, Catherine and Claire complained about chaperoning while drinking from Catherine's flask. Claire watched Eric dancing closely with Allison, and jealousy confronted him about missing their session. He apologized, so she reminded him he had begged for continued tutoring. Eventually, Eric admitted avoiding her because he was too attracted to her and didn't want to get her in trouble. Stunned, Claire told him to return to the dance. Later, they locked eyes across the room. Claire headed for the exit, and Eric followed her to the parking lot and silently got in her car. She drove to a secluded area and turned off the engine. Claire said they didn't have to go through with it if he didn't want to, but Eric said he did. So Claire joined him in the back seat, removed his coat, and they kissed and proceeded to have sex.
I thought I was